Welcome to episode 88 of CMD Towers, Brews, and Builds. I'm Mr. Con number 5, and my fellow host wishes he had the future sight to pick an apartment with better internet options, Big Tuck.
Hey, kids! Big Tuck coming in from Noda. Trying to do my shock jock impression there. So, not only do I think there's some internet problems, I've either completely lost my mind or need to go see the prescription doctor again for brain and or eye function. I'm not convinced that my entire apartment isn't slightly tilted to the left. Now, it could be that I've only been taking my brain medication once, but I noticed it when I took a picture of my TV and someone was like, wait, why is that tilted to the left? And then today's culprit was when I was cooking on each one of the the burners on the top of the stove, every single one of them was down and to the left.
So you think it's sloping downwards to the left, or you think that the walls are all weirdly angled to the left?
I'm not sure. I need to do some more research.
Or are you physically having issues? Can you taste correctly? Can you see correctly?
Well, I thought so. I got a new chair as well, and like this one time when I bought a chair, it wasn't designed right, so it tilted left, and I thought I was going insane. So I had like the same issues with this new chair that I got, but I think I had a friend of the show, Scooty Shuffle, sitting in it, and he says that's not the case. So, maybe I'm just getting used to it. But what I'm also getting used to is this delicious Hopcakes Imperial IPA from Noda, the neighborhood I live in, brewing company.
Man, I was really hoping you were going to say Rock Creek Brewing.
Mr. Com, no, I will. You can ship those to me. Mr. Com, I am wearing my Rock Creek Brewing hat and drinking on my Rock Creek Brewing glass.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So, Mr. Combo, I thought you would enjoy this this description here. Pour yourself a stack of Imperial IPA goodness soaked in lots and lots of delicious Vermont maple syrup. Then put down your axe, loosen your suspenders, and enjoy sweet citrus hops and resin flavors in this special release treat. Enjoy immediately, do not cellar, and feel free to come back for seconds. And I'll tell you what, Noda, I think I might just do that. So, it's an adjustment here. It's an adjustment lifestyle, adjustment age group. And the last thing I'll say is I took home the victory in the virtual apartment trivia last night, and I got first out of 3 contestants. So feel pretty good about that. But that's been my exciting life in the 4 days since we last spoke. Mr. Combo, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. It's as the collective has kind of heard, we'll just call them challenges with my work way
Yes.
Not going to dive into that, but the straw finally broke. This walrus is back.
No way.
I'm doing a change. I've been wanting to hold out for a leadership position to get back to kind of where I was, where I want to be for a career track. But it's such a toxic work environment now, just specifically this team, not the company I work for. And so, I told my boss yesterday, like, hey, you're not going to like it, but I'm moving on. I'm finding a different job internally. I'm going to start applying.
Wow.
I refuse to work with this group any longer. So he said he's going to try to, figure it out. He doesn't want to lose me, et cetera, et cetera. But started kind of the process today. Saw some openings internally. Have talked with some people that are in those roles currently, just to kind of get a gauge, see how it is. I'm trying to. There is actually a leadership position open, and I'm trying to use some of my VP connections to see if any of them know this particular VP that's hiring. Just see if they can put in a good word for me or give me a temperature check on them.
Wow.
But yeah, that's been the biggest news.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations.
I don't know if it's congrats. I kind of wanted to hold on and make a whole lot of money because I got a lot of stuff lined up, but it's not worth it at this point. And then, of course, the only other news is me and the fiance are fostering now it will be a 10 or 11 week old Mastiff mixed puppy. Her name is Audrey. Absolutely adorable. So if any of the collective want to adopt her, please reach out. We want to give her a loving home.
I will say this: I'm not a dog guy, as people are well aware of, but I will say that little ginger mutt is a little baby bubble dog, and it is quite cute.
Yeah, it's I think it's probably Tuck's favorite animal because, and great segue into our guest that's here this episode, Sheldon Menery, the godfather of EDH. Big Tuck is obsessed with like fat, fluffy animals.
Yeah.
And this puppy has so much skin wrinkles on her that it's just like her face is just squished and fat and it's adorable. Her butt, she likes to stand up on and peer over the couch. And so
I like that.
Of course, dogs don't have real butts, and so it's just flat down, but it's just wrinkly, and so it looks like she has this wrinkly old man butt. It's absolutely adorable.
I thought there was a lot of different ways you're going to take that obsession and then follow in with the adjectives, and I was like, is this going to be is this going down a dark path here?
Nope. A very light and beautiful path. Unless
it was very pleasant.
Sheldon, great to have you on Brews and Builds again. It's been about 15 months since we've had you on. How's life been? Give the collective a little insight to what's going on with Sheldon.
Well, the last time I was on was right after I left Wizards of the Coast, and that was quite a time to say something. I mean, in the interim, basically, I've been steering Commander, hopefully in the right direction, and battling cancer. And when I was first diagnosed, I asked the oncologist, I'm like, what do my 5-year survival look like? And he said the odds aren't good. And we're now at the 4.5-year point, and odds can get bent.
Yeah!
There we go.
Way to go.
Hey,
that's wonderful to hear.
You know what we got to do is we got to get Sheldon a T-shirt that says "Don't tell me the odds."
Never tell me the odds.
Well, no, that's great to hear from a health perspective. And from even a magic perspective. So obviously, we always want to give our guests a platform for their plugs and stuff, which honestly, I think we can do plugs at the end. What I'd like you to do now, Sheldon, is if you just want to have an open mic, take a few minutes and just kind of give a state of health of EDH, how you, the RC, the CAG, how do you guys feel EDH is looking today? And how does its maybe 2 to 5 year projection look from what you guys are seeing done?
Do you want me to just go read from my Star City article of about a month ago?
That's easy.
Word for word.
Now here's the real question: is that or is that not behind a paywall at this point?
It is not. As a matter of fact, I waited. I knew that we were going back to the premium and select model, and that Commander content was going to be on the free side. Ooh. And I intentionally waited to publish the state of the format article until it would be free.
Oh, that is great.
Nice.
Also,
nice.
Follow-up question from the news from Tuesday. If you were to read said article out loud on this cast, could I release it as an audio article?
Probably not.
Fair answer. I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take it.
I would think not.
Probably not.
So
hey,
that's great to hear.
I gotta try.
It's good to see that money and fame hasn't blinded you to us peons that can't pay for $1.99 a month or whatever it is. So everyone, go check out that article. Get a state of the health. And yeah, of course, let Sheldon know what you think. And I think that's one of the things that I will say before we kind of move on through the episode is I do want to say thank you to you, the RC and the CAG, for being as open as you guys can be to community feedback. I know sometimes you get people like myself that have good takes, and then they most of the time have really terrible takes that you guys hate. But you guys are always nice about it, which is fantastic. Even when people get sassy, and I definitely see threads and read articles, and so I do think it's amazing that you guys do keep such a open dialogue with the community. So I think that's honestly probably why EDH is at the growth that it's experiencing right now. EDH is almost like Dogecoin. We're going to the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm hoping, a bad day to talk about Dogecoin. It did not go to the moon today.
No, it didn't.
I'm hoping that the Commander and EDH prices will also follow suit, so I can actually get back to building decks again. So just buying precons.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in the healthiest place we've ever been, but that doesn't mean that everything is perfect. What I think that the last year and change of predominantly webcam play has brought us is opening ourselves to new experiences and having actual conversations with people before we play games. And I think that we're better about that than we ever were. Again, I don't know if it's causal or correlative, but I think that we've seen that change in the community. That maybe it was that there were so many other bad things happening that Commander was a good thing, and people wanted to keep it a good thing, or whatever it was. But we're in a place where we recognize that there are a lot of people playing the format, and some of them like it in different fashions than we do, and that's okay. Right? They're from the highest powered end to the battle cruiseriest end, that we're all just enjoying the format, and all we need to do is find a few people that enjoy it in the same fashion that we do to sit down and play it with.
I love that. It's great.
That was really pleasant. That was just very pleasant.
You got to remember that, especially on the internet, when somebody is being a complete shitbird, that's about them, not about you.
Great term. Shitbird.
Unless your name is Big Tuck, then it is in fact your problem.
Big Tuck, you're not on the internet.
That's true. I'm decidedly not on the internet.
I think that was a term from the cop shows in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Well, whatever it's from, it needs to stick around.
Put your ass on the wall, shitbird.
But sir, wouldn't you want my hands and chest against the wall? Why do I put my ass against the wall? You just got shot by your own perp.
No. His butt was it was a big guy, big butt. Who knows what he's hiding in there?
What?
Maybe a sandwich.
I could go for a sandwich. Well, hey guys, thanks for tuning into the episode. And as always, with that Manolith commentary is Squee McGee from the Rich Chaos Records Studio. Hello, Squee.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope you all are doing all right. It's wonderful to have the Godfather, the one, the only, himself here. I would actually like to take this time just to say a quick thank you to you, Sheldon. I, as a backstory, played Magic for quite some time in middle school, early high school, late 90s, early thousands, that range. Had a lot of cards, played a ton. I mean, after school every day, a couple hours. We had 4 or 5, 6, 7 of us that would play, trade back and forth. We would do our best to convince our parents to drive us to said Magic store, the only Magic store in all of the land, Collector's Cash at the time, which was about the size of my bathroom, actually. It really had no space. We played a tournament, they had one table, but I stopped playing for 15-ish years until Mr. Combo told me about EDH. And he said, hey, there's a new format. It's multiplayer. Outside of 2, it is more of a social format. It's singleton, all of that. And that got me back into Magic, which has led me here today. So praise be to thee.
And not to insert myself in this, but we all remember it was your old hometown hero, Big Tuck, who potentially inadvertently got Mr. Combo back into the format. So
yeah.
It's a trickle-down economics, as they call it.
The multiple chain of events there, but I do appreciate all the work that you put into Magic to bring into a new format that I really enjoy playing Commander. I really, really do. I had kind of fallen out of the 1v1 and that type of stuff, and this was just a complete reimagination. It got my juices turning again, where I could build new decks and new things. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. I appreciate what you've put into it. I appreciate all the work that you have continued to do, and it has meant a lot to me, even being a part of Magic still.
Thanks for. I really appreciate you saying so. But what I heard there is that I should expect a royalty check to be coming my way.
Yes.
my gosh. No, if anything, Sheldon, you owe me some money because of all that you invented this amazing format, and it is just I've just put thousands of dollars
later. Here he is.
Also, it's hard to have a royalty check of 0, so there's not much to divvy out of $0.
Yeah. Also, for your royalty check from being on the cast, you're gonna have to pitch in about $50.
A firm handshake. I think you'll have to settle for a firm handshake if we ever get to meet in person.
Guys, I mean, let's be more professional here. We'll send you a buy one get one free coupon to McDonald's. Okay.
Now we're talking.
We're gonna splurge a little bit.
This squeak coin, it's got your name on it. It's coming to you.
Let's go to the moon.
Well, squeak coin might. Dogecoin.
I think the time since I've eaten at a McDonald's is nearly old enough to drink.
What?
Wow.
Really?
I guess when you're drinking nice alcohol, you don't have hangovers that can only be solved by the golden arches.
The golden arches.
Yeah, about the... I don't eat much fast food. Five Guys. Yeah, Five Guys is about it.
Five Guys is good. Well, I guess I would say I do have beef with that, but not in a bad way. I just like their beef.
Yep.
Do you have what's your and we can move on after this, but would you call Chipotle away fast food?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it is food and you get it quite fast.
Okay,
that's not fair. Applebee's isn't fast food. That's a high quality restaurant right there.
Also, to Mr. Combo, to your point, one of the questions last night was, what's the largest dine-in chain in the world? And it was Applebee's.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's a fact. I don't know. I guess there's not much to discuss.
I just saw Sheldon's face and he looked so perplexed. Like he wanted to say no.
I
thought about he's a dine-in, and Subway isn't a dine-in restaurant, so...
Yep. Yeah, I was going to say, because Subway has the most physical locations on the planet.
Really? Okay.
And, you know, Sheldon, with most of us being from Kansas City, I drive all over Kansas, and literally every small town, every gas station has a Subway.
I call foul here. You can dine in at any Subway.
So that's also...
You can also carry out, but you can also carry out at any Applebee's. So what's the beef?
That also threw me for a loop, because I didn't see an Applebee's. I did not see an Applebee's when I was in China, but I did see a Pizza Hut, and people would wear like suits to it.
Yep.
I've heard that before, yeah.
Which is wild. But anyways, I'm done talking.
Well, guys, if you want to know more ways to support the CMD Tower team, Sheldon's non-existent royalties from the CMD Tower team, and our need
they're very existent. I'll send you a request for payment here soon.
Plus all the content we put out, head over to our sponsor, level1gameshop.com. They do tabletop accessories, board games. Hopefully we'll have live events soon to start doing the CMD Tower takeovers there. Really anything you need from a Magic the Gathering board game or other trading card game perspective, they can help you out. They're the ones that do the monthly giveaway, so you should definitely go support them if possible. If you would actually like to help us out financially, though, so we can continue to invest back into you with new equipment, most noticeably getting Tuck a microphone that sounds like he's not talking from a bullhorn, and getting you guys more swag, head over to patreon.com/CMD Tower. We have 4 different tiers from just $1 a month. You can get in with deck therapy. You can get in for the monthly giveaways from level 1, additional entries per se, all the way up to getting playmats, mat sleeves. We have Monarch tokens. We have everything you need from a gaming perspective. Plus, we also have introduced an awesome referral program. So if you are a patron and maybe someone at your LGS is like, hey, that seems kind of cool, or one of your friends you suckered into EDH with a pre-con, so now they will too be thousands of dollars in debt within a matter of months, the way the market's going. We are giving you referral prizes. So if you get someone to join the dollar Discord, we'll sign any card you want, and even...
delicious
gold-bordered Gaia's Cradle.
Delicious gold-bordered cradles.
I'm going to take a video of you signing that card.
It was so painful. I legitimately hurt my shoulder blades. All the way up to we may even give you guys free sleeves, free tokens, a whole bunch of stuff. Because once again, the goal for 2021 is get this stuff out of Mr. Combo's basement. And another way you guys can do that is to head over to our store, cmdtower.com/merch. We do sell everything on there. Place an order. If you want a limerick, put it in the notes. If you want Squee to bless it with his holiness, he can do that as well.
I am a reverend. This is qualified. I'm a legit in real life reverend at 2 different churches. So if you do
is
want
one
it to
like
be
the
blessed,
Church of the Hot Dogs or something?
Church of Bacon.
Bacon?
And then,
Yeah.
Bacon.
Also the Life Church. But whatever you prefer, whatever you want. But it can be blessed. I can't tell you if my morals are properly aligned with what you're wanting it to be blessed by, but I'll do my best.
And then, of course, guys, if you guys can't help out financially, just literally share the content you're already watching and listening to, because every little bit of interaction from the collective does help grow the CMD Tower reach, because we're here to infect everyone. And of course, every episode, big shout out to Pink Royal for the music you guys provided at the beginning and the end. And T-Coats, our video editor at T-Coats on Twitter. Go hit up Tyler. He does an amazing job doing these YouTube videos for you guys. So please go watch them because it lets him know that it's worth the time and energy he puts in. But also, leave notes, leave comments, send us messages. Let us know how we can improve the video content to what you guys want. So Brews and Builds is our deck tech series. Since we conquered the path of 32, we have moved on to the endless themes that EDH can bring us. Each month will be a new theme, and we correlate how these decks are constructed, similar to how a beer is brewed. So we broke it down into 4 different categories. The first one's ramp and setting your board state. We call that grain.
And grains are the foundation of a beer. They include both base malts and specialty malts, usually in a 60-40 ratio. This helps with the color, the taste, and most importantly, the alcohol content of a beer. Decks always need ways to grow, stabilize, and ramp into bigger threats, and just like a grain profile, they're usually a mix of staples and specialty cards.
And then how does your board interact with everyone else? Hands, boards, graveyards, just how do you gauge with your opponents? We call that hops.
And hops give the beer its patented bitterness and herbal floral flavors. They grow in a variety of strands and help distinguish subcategories like IPAs. Our hop choices help clear and interact with the board so your deck can ultimately do what it wants.
And then, of course, my favorite... I struggled a little bit looking at the deck, so I can't wait to talk to Sheldon about how this deck is going to close out and win. We call that yeast.
And yeast are microorganisms that eat the sugar from the grain and poop out alcohol and CO2. It adds the alcohol content and the carbonation. Without yeast, you'd be drinking flat sugar water. Without yeast cards, your deck wouldn't meet the goal of actually winning the game.
And then we have what I would like to believe, and Sheldon, don't correct me, please, what EDH was designed and made around. We have shenanigans, pet card synergies that are in the deck that are just kind of fun and silly. We call that spice.
And not every beer has them, but spices and other additives help separate a normal stock beer from a specialty one. It could be the pepper that turns a stout into a jalapeno stout, or the addition of hops that turn an IPA into a double IPA. Not every deck has something that makes it pop, but if it does, this is where we generally talk about it.
And then to seal the episode, we're going to have a bottle capping. There's going to be Sheldon's, Big Tuck's, and I's cuts and adds to the deck that are going to be under $5, under $50, and then a no budget to the moon limit. The only restriction is we can't talk about those mana-only lands. So without further ado, let's get brewing. We are wrapping up April with Death and Taxes month with the godfather of not HDF, Half Dragon Flatlander, but of Elder Dragon Highlander, Sheldon Menery, and his, hopefully I pronounced this correct, Merieke Repo Specialist deck. Did I say her name right, Sheldon?
Merieke Ri Berit.
Ah, there
Nice.
we go.
Love
it. Big Tuck, why don't you read her CMC, what she does in her power and toughness, and then Sheldon, why don't you give us a little overview of how you designed the deck and the overall concept.
Merieke is an old school commander costing Esper, which is a white, blue, black. She's a legendary creature human. That's a 1/1. Merieke does not untap during your untap step, and then she can tap, gain control of target creature as long as you control Merieke. When Merieke leaves play or becomes untapped, destroy that creature. It cannot be regenerated.
So Merieke is an old school card. Comes from Ice Age. And I knew about it back then, but what caused me to create the deck was when it came out in Future Sight as one of the, I'm sorry, not Future Sight, in Time Spiral as one of the time-shifted cards. So, like early days of the format, definitely in the 2000s, and it's like, what can I do? And the deck is basically about threatening to take people's creatures with Merieke to give you the time to get to your win cons. Initially, the deck was different. Now, there was a shift sometime around Dragons of Tarkir to change the creature base. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing was like, people play really good creatures in Commander. I like to borrow them.
That's definitely how the deck comes off. And it was funny, guys, because Sheldon and I were kind of chatting, and I was like, hey, here's the theme. And Sheldon's like, I don't really have Death and Taxes, man. Here's kind of the list. Let me know what you think. And, I sent Tuck a few ideas, and we both landed on Merieke. And then once I actually started kind of diving into the deck, we started kind of putting it into the categories. This deck is 100% a Death and Taxes deck from the aspect of what happens if you don't pay the tax man. Well, they repo your shit. Well, what does Merieke do? She takes your crap. You gotta pay a toll. What the toll is, she won't tell us, because as soon as she leaves, she destroys your stuff. She's like a very vengeful ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend.
I was gonna make the comment that when you originally were saying like, well, I'm not sure if this fit the pattern. And I was like, well, in that case, it does fit the pattern, because clearly none of our decks have fit the theme either. So here we are.
Oh, that's fair. So Merieke is a very cool commander. I love the concept. I love old school art, old school cards. So that just like checks all the boxes. We had a friend called Rafi that was one of the originals that Squee McGee used to play with back in middle school, and I played a little bit in high school. When he used to play Commander, he actually did a Merieke deck, and it was very gross.
I own that very card you're talking about.
Yep, it was very filthy. It was very gross. So I'm excited to really dive into it. I did see a sub theme of flying in the deck. Not to spoil anything, how did you kind of settle on a sub theme of flying? It didn't seem to really tie into what she does.
No, and sometimes, especially when you have a lot of decks, a theme will strike you, but you don't necessarily want to build a new deck out of it. And I like to look a lot for the road not taken. I want to. I don't want to build the same 2-lane deck that everybody is building, or the same Golos deck that everybody's building. I want to try to find a path that not many people have walked on. And I'm pretty sure it was some of the cards in Dragons of Tarkir that got me to shift the creature base of the deck.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Tuck, any thoughts?
No, that's kind of what I was thinking. You kind of hit the nail on the head. I think when you're looking at the Yeast, I kind of understand how it wins. There's definitely some cards that are interesting here, and I do like this like legendary dragon sub theme. So this definitely seems like a deck that would be fun to play. I'm a big fan of the 75% decks in the sense that the 75% best cards are probably your opponents. So I'm interested to hear about some of the options in here and some of the choices.
I will also note that the Godfather himself has a Weatherlight mentality, so just run with that, everybody.
I mean, the whole idea for me in playing Commander is that I want me and my brain to win the game, not my cards.
Ooh, okay.
And a lot of times it's just plop, I win, whether that's tooth and nail for Mike and Trike, or a blood bond combo or whatever. To me, that's super boring, because you're not actually doing anything.
Preach.
Plop I win would make a great playmat too.
Yeah. you're not sort of stretching the boundaries of your skills. And even some very high power decks, people say that they're skill intensive, and they're really not. Maybe the skill is you have to know when to make your move or what to counter when. But for the most part, it's just search up your combo. And to me, that's pretty boring Magic, and it's more self-focused instead of group-focused. And
agree there, yeah, for sure.
And I want to build decks that play with the people that I'm in the game with, and interacting with their board states is one of those ways.
No, that makes sense. So one of the things that we always like to do is go over some of the deck statistics, to be able to get this deck, not in exactly the version that Sheldon has, just more copy and pasted from Archidect, because Archidect sucks, but also so does Tapped Out, so I'm kind of stuck one half a dozen. But you could get this deck for around $1,000 up
Searching
to
for opportunities,
bucks.
We'll say.
Yeah. From a CMC perspective, you're coming in right at a 429. So if you could just take like 30 seconds, does this deck, and usually Esper's not a go quick colors, because usually you need green for the ramp, but how do you feel like your deck, does it play on curve? Is it a slower deck to where you do have to maybe engage your politics a little bit more early game to kind of defer people?
It's definitely slower, and the grain here is play Merieke on turn 2 or turn 3. And actually, I don't think there's a way to play it on turn 2. Play Merieke on turn 3, and then that sets up a tension for the board state, right? People are going to probably play their utility creatures. Nobody's going to not play Sakura Tribe Elder because Marike's out.
Right.
Right. But they're going to have to think about what they play, because there's two things that can happen. Can steal it with Merieke and bash them with it, or I can use one of the ways that's in the deck to untap Merieke, which then destroys the creature.
Yep.
So there's two possible outcomes here for them. Generally not good. So they really have to think about the early, the turn 3, turn 4 creatures that they're going to put out on the board.
Yeah, it's something that Tuck and I talk about a lot, where we love modal cards, not necessarily dual-faced, but cards that give you choices. And we love even more when there are modal cards for your opponents, knowing, like a Tempt with Discovery is, hey, I'm doing this, and here's what I'm going to do. You have a choice. I'm not taxing you like a Smothering Tithe, for example. You have a choice. You can do it or not, but that's on you. And that's something that's really fun about Commander.
Yeah, I certainly like to get into the other players' heads a little bit. And
yes,
I'm in your brain.
And really think about it. And especially when you play with players regularly, you pick up their tells and you pick up their habits. And having cards that interact, not just with the board state, but with the player intellectually, are really compelling to me.
Gotcha.
Word.
And I think the last deck stat, and this is something that Tuck and I have started doing in the last year and a half that we've been doing this channel, is looking at our distribution of mana to the pips. And it looks like you're a little light mana-wise on your planes versus how many white pips you have in the deck. So something we always ask is, has it ever bit you in the butt not having enough white producing mana in the deck because of how many cards need white?
I imagine it probably has, but certainly not memorably so.
Okay. Well, that's good. As long as it's not memorable, because, I've definitely had games where it's been memorable. Like, I couldn't get a mountain to save my life. Literally, my Animar deck, that is the issue I have in that deck. 9 times out of 10, I never get a mountain, even though there's plenty in there, I feel like. So, all right. Well, I think that's good. Let's dive into this and start with the grain section. Sheldon, we always like to start with our guests. When building a Merieke deck, what is the first grain card you would recommend for someone to put in?
Establishing your board is about, again, getting Merieke out early, and then threatening other action. You know the player's playing blue. You know the player's playing white. You know the player's playing black. So slowing down other people's development, even sort of emotionally, is enough to establish the board state. After Merieke out, then you're playing the other artifacts in the deck, like the Magistrate Stone or the 1,000-year elixir, which is especially good with her, because you can untap her. And after you play Merieke, establishing the board is that, and then threatening action thereafter. Whether it's a board wipe, whether it's a targeted spell or anything like that, because they often are going to assume that you're playing some cards that you're not. For example, there's no Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile in this deck.
Yeah, I did find that interesting. Yeah, and I guess I could see how getting Merieke down like as soon as possible is like you're establishing, is like you kind of described in the beginning. It's the forcing your opponents to start, and I think that's where Merieke is almost kind of a modal card herself, to where on one side of the coin. Actually, gosh, she's all three. On one side of the pyramid, you could be taking a Birds of Paradise. That helps you ramp, that helps you accelerate your board and decelerate your opponents, which could kind of be a hops because you're impacting their board. But then it could also be a yeast because you're taking their Ulamog or something ridiculous like that. So I could see getting her down as soon as possible being a very impactful thing.
Yeah. And then interacting with the opponents is sort of the next phase. You want them to do stuff so that you can do other stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Going to my first grain card, I am a ho-ho for Planeswalkers, so of course you had one in here and I had to do it, because Liliana of the Dark Realms.
Oh my god, it's
such a great card. And it's honestly better than I remember it being, because I only run it in one deck, my mono black Shirai deck. So Liliana of the Dark Realms, 2 colorless black. It's a Planeswalker Liliana from M14. It's a mythic with 3 loyalty. It has 3 activated abilities. +1, search your library for a swamp card. One more. Hey, sorry,
Mr. Combo. Sorry, I think it's internet. What is it? It's a basic swamp, right? Is that what it is?
You know what, Tuck? Surprisingly, it's not. It's just a swamp card.
Boom.
So if you have Underground Sea, you could just go get an Underground Sea. And just put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. That's obviously the big reason I believe this is a humongous grain, especially in more than 2 color decks, because color fixing is a thing. Like I was quizzing Sheldon on earlier, like, are you sure you have enough white? Has it ever kind of messed you over? Well, with stuff like this, you can just go get your scrub land, and that solves your white problem with your mono black card. Of course, this is a modal thing as well. -3. Target creature gets +S/+X or -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of swamps you control. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
We don't have a Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth in here, so nothing disgusting that you're going to do with this. But it might -3 or -5 or +5. So there's a little bit of flexibility there. The -6 though is amazing. I don't believe I saw an X spell in the deck, but he does get an emblem with swamps you control have tap, add 4 black to your mana pool. Obviously I just gushed about the card of why I think it's a grain. Sheldon has this card, the way I made it sound, has it done the work you need it to in games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall ever using the -3 ability. It's always about the +1 and the emblem. So I think in the ancient days there was an exsanguinate in here.
Oh, okay. It's just like a way to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah. But for the most part, making that mana is then about casting those big creatures later on.
Tuck, what do you think?
No, it's incredible. I think we've talked about this card once or twice before, and I mean, it's like one of the most consistent ways to ramp in black. The thing that sucks about it is that this card is just crept up $20 for for this, which is, I mean, it's emblematic of the card, obviously, but it's just so funny. Where I think I used to pay $6 for this, and I was like, that seems like a lot. Well, that's just the world. Yeah, it's really good, especially when you have 2/4 of the deck's budget in the land section.
That's what you need, man. Lands are expensive.
Oh,
all right, Big Tuck. Well, what is your first grain?
So this one is more of, I want to open the floor for debate on this one. So I can't tell if this card's good, and I still can't to this day, but it's a sphere. And it's not a sphere at the bottom of the ocean, a la the movie Sphere, but a sphere from the Armadillo area. So Armadillo sphere, 2 colorless for an artifact. It's a common for about 10 cents. 2 tap, sack Armadillo sphere, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, then put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. I know there's been a lot of speculation in terms of the RNG of how this works.
Oh, yep. I was about to say, what is your voice? So
before we get into that, I am actually in the process of building a program that I can run that computes non-Google RNG. So I was working on it this afternoon and building it. It's pretty easy, but I think I almost figured it out. So today we are sticking. Wow. Oh my God. No way. Right off the tail. This is read from Liliana herself, for those playing the home game. Miss Jolie from Beowulf, which, if I remember correctly, goes a little something like this. The mysterious purpose of 2 of the rings has eluded Esper mages until now.
Look at that, Sheldon with the Vorthos over here with Esper, mages, flavor text. It's in an Esper deck. Man, that's some dedication.
Slam dunk.
It all worked. It all works.
So I'm if you guys could see me, I'm gonna twist my chair around and sit into it backwards like a substitute teacher trying too hard. Now let's rap about this card. Is it good? Because this is something that I've run into a lot of these sort of decks. Where they don't have green, they don't have a lot of things outside of artifact ramp. And recently I got burned on it like 6 times in the, I got like burned 6 times with this in our boxing league, Mr. Combo, when I thought this was going to be a slam dunk, and it was decidedly not. So I would, obviously, in these colors, you're looking for all the ramp that you can. Getting cards to your hand is good. Playing basics is good as well. What's the kind of feel in the room on the value prop of this card?
Sheldon, I'll let you answer first.
Remember that this deck was built before 2010.
Oh, yeah, that tracks.
So there are things that are left over from back then. And
so do you not think that this card? Do you not think that this card holds up?
Back then, Armadillo Sphere was really good. I don't think that this card holds up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would almost rather run Thematic Compass than this. That just seems inherently better. Granted, it's not 10 cents, so from a budget perspective, that's a little different. But yeah, I mean, I think seeing how Sheldon's kind of constructed the deck, even one of the cards in his spice package, Armadillo Ri Sphere could be a card that helps deck thin, helps gives him recur options. I mean, we do have 17 basic lands in the deck, so in theory that could be something that gets used late game. I'm going to recur it, I'm going to crack it, I'm going to thin the deck, I'm going to recur it, I'm going to crack it, I'm going to thin the deck. It almost kind of becomes like a land tax at that point.
Okay, knowing that now, my question is, would either of you guys run this in a deck in the current Commander format?
It certainly wouldn't be one of my first picks for something.
Yeah. Fair enough.
If I was playing Glissa, anything that cares about recurring artifacts. But yeah, they're probably better choices there. Like a Mycosynth's Wellspring would be the.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just evaluate your color, evaluate your budget, because I mean, I can think of probably 10 ramp cards, even for mono white, that I would run over this, but 5 or 6 of them are over $10. Sheldon, what is the last grain card you'd like to point out?
I said it a minute ago. Micahson's Wellspring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think this is a really underappreciated card. When it ETBs, you go get a land in your hand, and when it leaves play, you go get a land in your hand. And costs only 2. I think that, again, it was a new Phyrexia card, I think. And it's one of those things that the Esper deck needs to do, because, like you pointed out before, like, mana rocks are about the only ramp thing that you have. You know, you can do things like Micahson's Wellspring that help you hit your land drops, and that's definitely a thing that you have to do in this deck, right? You're not going to get ahead, but as long as you're hitting 1 per turn, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I don't think I run Wellspring in a deck, but I was just going to say, because there are a lot of decks that deal with sacrificing artifacts and then recurring them. So I think it's almost like the Armillary Sphere, but better value, because you don't have to dump mana into it to sacrifice it. It's, well, even if I recur it, I'm still getting a basic land out of it for just doing the recur. Oh, I sacrificed it to XYZ, Crack Clan Ironworks, I'm still getting a basic land out of it. So it seems like you're basically getting the benefit of the Armillary Sphere, just with less investment, and I think more upside into different strategies you can play around with. All right. My last grain, I didn't see what Sheldon was doing here. I alluded to it to the beginning, though. I finally figured it out with all of his weird... It's like he has a sub-theme of flying, but then there's a sub-theme of gaining life. So Wall of Reverence is a very cool card for this deck. I'm obsessed with this card. I love it. It's so innocuous.
Yep.
For 3 colorless white, creature spirit wall. It's a 1/6 with Defender flying. At the beginning of your end step, you may gain life equal to the power of target creature you control. And hit me with the RNG.
All right, here we go. And we're off. Oh, no. This is being read from Niv Mizzet, our favorite, the Ghoul Man.
Oh, God.
We're back.
God, Ghoul Man. What was it, like some weird, like, British ghoul?
Yeah, it was like a British, I think that's dead on the nose. British ghoul, you know, Jaws not working too great, all that good stuff.
The lives of elves long, but the memories are longer. Even after death, they do not desert their home.
I don't know if that was actually right.
That was really, that
sounded
good.
like Andre the Giant reading a ghoul text.
Anybody want a peanut?
Yeah.
So I run this card in my Aloro deck. It's great. It's honestly a card that I would fringe say I should probably run more often. Because having a 1/6 Defender flying for 4 isn't honestly something to snuff at. And then the gaining life, even if you're only gaining 1 life per rotation, you're probably still gaining more life incidentally because people aren't swinging at you because it's unprofitable having a 1/6. But then, you know, when you get down your big stuff, or in this case, Merieke steals things that have big fronts, gaining 5 life, 10 life, maybe even 15 life if there's counters on it. This card can really do some work.
Yeah, this is, you and I have talked about this card before, and this is one that I agree with you, where it's like, I can't really, I've tried it, and I can't really find a home for it, even in my Walls deck. And in this deck, it's just so strong, like, especially as you're talking about Sheldon in the early game, giving you some time to live, giving you some time to get past the first round of tokens or any of that sort of thing. Just seems like it's really doing overwork here.
Yeah, I think that I have it also in my Tristani deck, which is
makes sense.
Which is Angels and Life Gain. But I also have Sarah Avatar in that deck, and I think I used to have it in here. So Sarah Avatar doubling your life every turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems pretty strong.
Seems
all right.
Pretty strong.
All right. Well, Tuck, bring us home. What is the last grain card you'd like to talk about?
Okay, this was a weird one. I've never seen this card before. This might be a Ghost of Girlfriends card of the deck's past, but Tower of the Magistrate is a real weird one. It is not a legendary land, but it is a land from Arcadian Mass. Tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. 1 colorless tap. Target creature gains protections from artifacts until end of turn. And let's try this guy out. Okay. Oh God. This is my least favorite. Kasim.
Is it Lisa Kudrow?
No, that one's easier. Kasim M. Naji, the young elephant from Jungle Book.
Yes.
I always forget how this goes. It's like the city, weakest at its foundation. No, I don't remember
sound
this
like
one.
some weird. No, you got to sound like a confused little kid, like the city. Weakest at its foundation.
All right, let me see. Just real quick, let's see if I can mimic that. Like the city, weakest at its foundation. That's what we're looking for?
Yeah, it's basically high pitch. Everything you're saying is almost in the form of a question.
Oh, one of those things. Okay, yeah, like Valley Girl style. So I think this is a really interesting card. It could be that I have North Carolina Madness. I don't see a ton of utility of it in this deck, but I like the inclusion of it anyways. Sheldon, can you bail me out on this here?
You know what this does? It makes equipment fall off.
Yep.
Ooh, interesting.
So okay, so when I saw this card, I thought of it as a reaction to people trying to put equipment on, like, 1 mana, I kind of stop it. But I had thought with protection, when you look at debt, if something, like, for example, if something's enchanted with a blue enchantment, then gains protection from blue, I thought the enchantment stays, it doesn't fall off. So wouldn't that be the same thing? If the equipment's already there, it's not going to just dissipate?
No. If something gets protection from something that's enchanted gets protection from blue, the blue enchantment will fall off. Protection doesn't mean just can't be targeted by, but it can't be enchanted by either.
Yeah, I knew that the act of it. I thought I had read. This was like years ago. Before I started doing this professionally.
Yeah, exactly. Before we became complete experts of this game and this medium.
Yep.
Yeah, but no, that's interesting. Yeah, because I had thought I had read something about, and you know what? Maybe it was Shroud is what they were talking about. Because I know you can Shroud stuff after the fact.
Correct.
But yeah, no, I think this is cool because nothing would make me more excited than playing against Duff, another person from our local play group, and he tries to throw all his swords on his Sir Gwyn, and it's like, protection from artifacts, suck it.
Yeah. I'm noticing that the local game store next to me has 4 of these in stock. I might just go pick them up now that you mentioned it.
Man, I'm looking at I've got my architect up here, and I'm looking at these cards, and that Tower of the Magistrate's not cheap.
No,
almost $5.
Nothing in Magic is cheap anymore.
I have a foil version.
Oh yeah, sorry, we have the peon version in our tap.
Yeah, exactly.
What made me pull this up was when you said the value of the deck.
And
I said, that doesn't sound right.
Well, I mean, it does when you have a scrub land and a water and an underground sea in it. So
yeah, the underground sea will ditch you a good 800 to 1,000 right there.
Yeah, well, when you said that, I said that sounds remarkably low.
Oh
yeah, well, because his entire deck's foiled out.
Oh. Okay, that makes more sense.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up the green section. Now we're going to head over to the hot profile, and I'll start this one off with a card that I find so incredibly cool because it does, I think, what this deck wants to do. It's, I want your stuff, but sometimes you need to have some graveyard hate. And this Demir Doppelganger kind of does a little bit of both. So, colorless Demir, which is blue and black. It's a creature shapeshifter. It's a rare. And it is a 0/2. It has an activated ability of a colorless Demir. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. Dimir Doppelganger becomes a copy of that card, except it has this ability, and it is not a tap effect. So if Sheldon has 9, he could do it 3 times and just use it as kind of like a scavenging use effect. But unfortunately, there is flavored text. What is my RNG?
All right, here we go. You ready? So we're rolling it. I found a new website that seems like it might be more partial. And we have, damn it, Tomeo, the Sorcerer Supreme, Tilda Swinton. Well, let's hear it.
Fear not. Your life will not go unlived. So, I love this card. I already kind of said why. It's doing, I think, Sheldon, both the things that your deck wants to do. You want to make your opponents think, because obviously if they're in a graveyard synergy, a Carador, a Marin, a Shirai, do I really want to put that creature in the graveyard? He could just make a copy of it and get rid of it, which hurts my game plan for later. But then the other side of it is you're playing with what your opponents are playing with, which is kind of what your deck is doing. So let me get the best thing out of the graveyard and kind of roll with that. Very nice. Only $1, which is kind of shocking because I feel like the card is very appropriately costed. Have you ever had a blowout or done something to where you use this like a scavenging use and just kind of picking off the best things from graveyards?
I once had somebody have a OG Ulamog go to the graveyard.
Nice.
Yes.
And trigger. And then eat it.
I was just going to ask that if you got luck, if you lucked out with like a Blightsteel or one of the other quote unquote monster mash cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insanely good. And I think that one thing that we'll be talking about a little later is playing a little bit more with the graveyards as a toolbox. And I think this is one of the best. I think this is one of the best ones that are out there with the value and the ability you can do it over and over and over again.
All right, Tuck. Why don't you start off? What's your hop card?
I have never seen this card ever before, and maybe it's because
Bajukabog.
Yes, copy enchantment. No, maybe it's because if you saw me in the moonlight,
oh no,
you might think of me of some sort of horrible werebeast.
All right, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
3, 2, 1.
Hallowed Moonlight. All right, I'll read it. You do the accent. Okay, Hallowed Moonlight's a colorless and a white. It works so well. Colorless and a white for an instant. It's a rare for about 27 cents out of Magic Origins. Until end of turn, if a creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead, draw a card.
So cool.
It's really awesome. All right, I think a relative new one. Talara, you got to give me on this one, Mr. Combo. Talara Elvish Safe Right as Pikachu.
Yes. Pika, 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 Pika.
So yeah, I had actually never seen this one before, and I like it a lot. I think that we've talked before, and Bajukabog's an interesting example of how people are becoming more often of cheating cards into play, cheating cards out of graveyards, using like quote unquote Elvish Piper effects. All these sort of things to get creatures in, and usually when that happens, it's so like people aren't doing that to go get a Llanowar Elves. They're doing it to get some sort of horrible Eldritch or Eldrazi monstrosity or something like that. And the fact that this replaces itself, so if you look at the table and you're like, I'm guessing no one's trying to do this. This is an easy thing just to bin for 2, draw a card, and replace itself. So for a card I've never seen before at instant speed, just seems like there's a lot of upside for this guy.
Yeah, and I would guess, Sheldon, you primarily run this in the deck to counter token strategies, because like the super go wides are probably where you're going to struggle the most.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, that's accurate. Especially ones that do it super early. But there are a lot of big things like Tooth and Nail.
Yeah.
Right?
Defense of the Heart.
Defense of the Heart. Even Living Death, because, especially again, if it's sort of a run up to, and I've got nearly no graveyard, and you have a big one, this is going to protect me. Sure, it might exile a few of my things, but the person playing the living death is the one that is trying to extract the most value out of it anyway.
I actually just thought of this. So this card with cards like Tooth and Nail and Defense of the Heart, it doesn't actually really work. It works in the aspect of whatever creatures they put out get exiled, but from a stack perspective, the triggers or spell resolutions on the stack, you would have to cast this. You couldn't see what they're going to get, because by the time they get it, that means their effect has resolved, and that's already on the battlefield, correct?
Sure. Yeah, you have to cast this in response to Tooth and Nail.
Okay. And so it just stops them from doing the thing.
Yeah. Now, Tooth and Nail is a may, right? You may put the two cards. I mean, you have to search for them. But you can fail to find. But yeah, you can choose to not cast this, but not put them into play. In that case, this is a cantrip that probably stopped you from winning the game.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're burning your best spell in your deck or one of them for nothing, ultimately.
And Tuck, I took offense at what you said earlier before we go to Sheldon. Maybe I would do one of my cheat things for Land of War Elves. Hell, I use Demonic Tutor to go get basic lands.
That's a fair point. I have seen that in person more than once.
All right, Sheldon, what hops card would you like to talk about?
Chronomantic Escape.
Oh,
I did see this one.
So it's basically a fog. It's a sorcery.
Fog, baby!
It's a fog every third turn.
So dumb.
No, it's beautiful. You shut your mouth. It's beautiful.
So if it's in your hand early, you suspend it for 3. If it's later, you cast it for 6, and then of course it becomes suspended, and it's like, can't attack me, thank you. So things get pointed other directions, and again, people might think about playing what they're going to play or not. So it creates a situation where once again they have to put some additional thought into how they play the game.
Yeah, and for some of the people that may not be familiar with it, Sheldon kind of went over the suspend 3 and the overall cost, but the actual text on the card says, until your next turn, creatures can't attack you. Remove it from the game with 3 time counters on it. So basically, whether you suspended it for 3 or casted it for 6, every third turn, you get 1 free total rotation free from attack. Yep. Not that they can't deal combat damage to you, just they cannot attack you. Right. This is filthy. It's dumb. The goad, you should absolutely put this in your goad deck. It seems like it would be a perfect home for that. And I may throw this in my Kyrnos and Tiro goad deck as well.
Yeah, and it's like, the timing can get kind of weird, but again, even if you have to wait 3 turns after turn 3, that's turn 6, that's kind of when things get rolling. So you'll probably see the benefit of this, even if you do have to wait a few turns for it.
And you know what? If someone wants to burn their counter spell on it,
go right ahead. Yeah, exactly.
I actually have had it countered when it was coming off of suspend.
Really?
Yeah, somebody's like, no,
they must have been desperate.
I need to counter that so it doesn't keep happening.
Oh yeah, get rid of it once. Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh man. All right, Tuck, what is your last hops card?
So this is one that's relatively new in the scope of the game, and I think it kind of falls in a really interesting category. So I think Time Wipe is something that is well worth the 28 cents that it costs. So 2 colors, 2 white and a blue for a sorcery. It's a rare from War of the Spark. Return a creature you control to its owner's hand, and then destroy all creatures. Luckily, this one needs no random number generator. To comprehend, motherfucker, the full answer requires years of temporal study, motherfucker. In short, they were never born in the first place, motherfucker. From Teferi as Samuel L. Jackson. So I think that this card, it kind of fits in this weird slot that's become pretty common of this 5 CMC board wipe for varietals. The reason why I think this one is so good is that in a deck like this, you really only need your commander to get the game going, right? Like you're going to win, and you're going to win with your commander. And the fact that this is a little harder to swallow when your commander might cost like 5, 6, 7, but the fact that in the same turn when you cast this, you can completely stymie all your opponents, and then also probably recast your commander the same turn. Just, it's really incredible. And like I said, this is a deck that's really not that commonly played. And I think considering the other not so hot or not so interesting options in this space, this is something that people should be playing way more often.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's definitely one that I think people aren't going to see coming. They're going to be thinking, oh, it's Wrath of God, it's Cyclonic Rift, it's Damnation.
Yeah,
they're thinking of all these staple Esper board wipe things, and then Sheldon hits them with a time wipe, and it's like, well, I'm going to get Merieke back. Oh yeah, by the way, I have 8 mana, so I'm going to cast her again after this is resolved. It's just like, well, poop a biscuit, we're kind of screwed, because it almost kind of turns into the news episode that we talked about earlier in the week, to where Sir Nathan with his Torolf deck, he would deal with someone, but then the Godfather of HDF comes in, and it's like, well, I'm at a point now to where you are always a turn behind me, and as long as I can keep removing your stuff, and in this case, Sheldon can just keep taking people's stuff, they can never really recover, which makes that so much better.
Exactly. So yeah, play more of it. It's 54 cents. Like everything else, it's probably going to be $500 in a year and a half, so pick them up now.
All right. Well, Sheldon, why don't you round this out? What is the last hop you would like to discuss?
This is hops that could turn into yeast.
Ooh, I think I know what you're talking about.
It is sudden spoiling.
Oh,
yeah,
I did not see that coming. Wow. All right. One of my favorite cards.
Yeah, it's really good.
And mechanics.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of good play with sudden spoiling, and since it has split second, it is not getting countered.
Yeah. Just from an overall Magic perspective, because I know that I think last year we talked about it. I can't remember. We've talked about, would we ever see these mechanics come back? Are they problematic, etc.? Split second, that's one you don't see a lot of. Is that a problematic mechanic that's probably not going to get done again? Or is that one that you could foresee them, if they find a new design space for it or the effect, they would do it again?
I think it's not quite banding in that regard.
What are you talking about? Banding.deck is all the rage right now.
Yeah. But I think that, sudden spoiling removes banding, so get out of here.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, I think that split second is relatively high up on the list of things that might not get explored again.
Yeah.
And I say that without any inside knowledge.
Sure. Yeah, I could see how it's one of those things where you would have to do not maybe exciting effects with it, because since it can't be countered and it can't be interacted with, it's like, if they did it again, split second, creature gets +2/+3 until end of turn. I think it might have to be some more of those lame effects, because I think sudden spoiling is a perfect example of how powerful split second can be, because I cannot tell you how many times we've been in games and someone's like, okay, well, I'm just going to kill you. And it's like, well, I'm actually going to sudden spoiling you. And then when all your creatures are coming at me, I'm going to kill all of them with my 2/2 Drakes. And it's like, oh, well, that was a one-side board wipe for 3 mana. And it's like, yep, sure was.
And to your point, Mr. Combo, we've talked about sudden spoiling cards a fair amount, and there are already printed confusing ones like this one, or like Angel's Grace, that are definitely wild for the cost, and then more of your more basic ones like Crows and Grips or whatever the case may be there. Sure. So I think that's a problem, and I agree with you, Mr. Combo, where it's like they would just be boring things. So that's like murder but split second, which would obviously be a million times better than murder straight out the gate. As we've discussed many times.
Removal card in all of Magic.
Murder and Manolith, baby. They're wonderful cards.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the hot profile, even though I just got told murder's a terrible card, and I'm very offended. Now we're going to move on to how does the deck win the game in the yeast section. And Tuck, I'll start with you. What is the first game-winning card you'd like to start with?
So this is one that I like, and it's very confusing to me, and I think I kind of understand why it's still in here, and I'm glad to see it. I think it's a very interesting design, and I don't think I've ever seen this in a deck before. So this is an Elder Dragon. I think it's a reprint of one of the original Elder Dragons that takes the full Esper swing. And I'm waiting.
You're waiting?
Okay, I'm going to go for it. We're talking about Chromium the Mutatable, or Mutable, perhaps. 4 colorless and Esper, that's white, blue, black. For legendary creature Elder Dragon, that's a mythic. It's got flash. The spell can't be countered. It's flying. Discard a card. Until end of turn, Chromium the Mutable becomes a human with base power, toughness 1/1, loses all ability, and gains hexproof. It can't be blocked this turn. And it is a 7/7 for 86 cents. Whew, a lot going on there. I like it because it's pretty much just a 7/7 beater with flying that you will not be able to get rid of. And it's gonna,
or it'll be very difficult to get rid of.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna have to waste a lot of resources, and then it's gonna punch you in and around, or around the face.
So Sheldon, I'm curious. So Chromium, do you have it in here for flavor? Was there maybe a rendition of the deck in the past that really played into the, well, I can discard a thing, it can't be blocked, and I'm now doing like combat tricks? Did
this originally start as a Chromium, the original dragon that had Rampage 2, and you decided to upgrade from it?
No, this was an upgrade when M19 came out. It was post the shift to the dragon sub-theme.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. I'm mostly playing it as a 7/7 that you can flash in.
Yeah.
Right? And the deck wants to be reactive a lot, and somebody will battle you thinking that your shield's down, and boom, here comes Chromium, and that's a tough creature to kill.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you swing back next turn.
So have you done, because I remember when I saw this card get previewed for M19, it was very curious. Have you ever done the discard card effect on it, or has it just been more the flash 7/7 beater flyer?
Yeah, it's mostly been the flash.
Okay. Fair enough. It's a 7/7 for 7 with flying with flash that can't be countered.
Yeah,
and then the rest of the card is just flavor text.
Yeah, maybe ones have protected it.
Sure.
But there, no other real shenanigans.
Was there ever a time where someone was down to 1 life, and then there was a total board wipe, and you're like, well, I got some sour news for you, pal. I got 2 cards in hand. At the end of your turn, Chromium the Mutable.
And then don't worry, I know I could hit you for 7 because you have no blockers, but I'm going to discard a card and make it into a 1/1.
Exactly, just to prove a point.
Oh, man. All right. Sheldon, what is the first game-winning card you think would be worth pointing out?
So I'm gonna tell you the one that combos with Sudden Spoiling.
Oh, okay.
And that's Massacre Worm.
Oh, sure.
Right.
So Massacre Worm triggered on the stack, Sudden Spoiling, good night.
Yeah, GG. Woof. What a beast. What a worm.
Well, I mean, Sudden Spoiling only does it to 1 player, so I guess they would have to have enough creatures to make it to where they lose, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. That definitely happens.
Not when you play me, who likes to play creatures. It's planeswalkers all over the place over here. I've always looked at Sudden Spoiling as a reactionary protect me type card. I've never looked at it as a do it proactively and then Massacre Worm to kill you or something like that. So that's a cool little 2-card deal
little
right there.
Tech. Little deck tech.
Little tech.
Yeah, I mean, even if you just have Massacre Worm in play and someone attacks, somebody with a lot of creatures attacks somebody else, you can still sudden spoiling them, let the third player block and kill a bunch of creatures, and Massacre Worm still triggers.
Ooh. The spite play, as they call it.
Yeah. I will tell you my best sudden spoiling play, not with this deck, with another Esper deck, with my Amanatu deck, which is a demon deck.
Oh, yeah, I think you talked about this one in the past. It's amazing.
And I had Liliana's Contract and 4 demons, but one of them was Abyssal Persecutor, which says I can't win the game.
Oh, right. Okay.
So my upkeep came around, and Liliana's Contract triggered because I had 4 demons. And then in response, I cast Sudden Spoiling on myself to take away all the abilities of all my demons, specifically Abyssal Persecutor, so that I could, when the trigger resolved, I won the game.
Incredible. I remember that story as well. Oh, Liliana Contract's so good.
All right. Well, my first game-winning card, and I'm glad it's been confirmed that you have built this deck, Sheldon, top down. You're winning with Merieke, you're going to lose with Merieke. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And Illusionist Bracers is a incredibly powerful Magic card in general, but it's so much better with her because of her effect. So for 2 colorless, you get an artifact equipment rare from Gate Crash, equip 3. Whenever an ability of an equipped creature is activated, if it's not a mana ability, copy it and choose new targets for the copy. RNG me, sir. RNG
All right,
me.
I did it. This is one we haven't heard for a while either. This is Hana, the ship's navigator, who we decided sounds like the Mad Hatter.
Oh, God. See, I feel like I came up with most of these voices, but now I don't even remember how the voices go.
It's like British and high, and then also just like, woo!
Yeah, you gotta be like, you have weird pauses, and it's like, and I was, yeah,
exactly. It's easy to believe, that sort of thing.
It's easy to believe you're a god when you're twice as powerful as everyone else.
Yeah, perfect.
That
was great.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
So I like this effect because like the one technical drawback of Merieke is like the only way you're going to get multiple stuff is that if you untap her, and then you have to destroy the thing unless it's indestructible. But even then, her actual static effect says gain control for as long as you control Merieke. So even if, well, I guess you could untap it if it was indestructible and it would live. So that's fine, but it's essentially Merike's supposed to be you get a 1 thing and you're done. So Illusionist Bracers allowing you to steal 2, and it's not restricted to that player. It's not restricted to card of the same name. It definitely opens it up. I know Illusionist Bracers can do broken stuff in a lot of decks, but I think it actually makes this commander a lot more fun. Because what's more fun than stealing someone's thing than stealing 2 of someone's things?
Dose times.
So, Sheldon, have you, with Illusionist Bracers and Merieke, been able to steal 2 extremely impactful creatures? Or has it usually just been, I'm getting a good one, and then I'm getting a filler?
No, more than once. Again, in Commander, there are often lots of good creatures on the board. So it's not, take 1 and get something dirtily. It's which of 2 really good things do I want?
Right.
Yeah, all right. Tuck, what's your last use card?
So at this one, we're going to be taking it to the edge with a card that goes like Monomino, which I believe is the Dr. Pepper's ad. Monomino, Schools of Water Edge. So it's a legendary land from the Kamigawa block, much revered or much hated, depending on who you're talking to. Sitting around $17. Tap, add blue to your mana pool. Blue, tap, untap, target legendary permanent. And please, God, give me a good one. Nope. All right. It looks like I gotta do this old-fashioned way and just build it by myself, because we're back to the Sorcerer Supreme. Its students graduate the school and into history. Not happy about the reading there, and I'm also not happy that this card is $17. But this, I think, is one of those cards that's kind of a slam dunk in this deck, kind of like an almost auto include. you want to be able to the trick with Merieke is you want to be able to tap or untap her at will. And with a card like this, the floor is so low because you're not going to have multiple copies of them. It's unlikely going to be a target for like a Wasteland or a Ghost Quarter or something like that. And it comes into play untapped and also continues to help you with your game plan. So this is probably the best land in the deck, outside of like, I don't know, Hollowed Fountain. I don't know. But it just does everything that this deck wants to in such a concise package. And then my hot take was all of these legendary lands, except for the white one, to shocker to no one, from Kamigawa, were really good. Let's see that Secret Lair.
So, Sheldon, general EDH thought, and I don't know if you'll have the answer because it's a pretty big question. There's a lot of lands, especially, but you can even go to artifacts and people will say, are EDH staples, gotta have it in every deck, or it's like our channel, we like to say standard.
Yeah.
It's good in a lot of the decks, but it doesn't have to be in all of them, or it doesn't work in all of them. There are more and more commanders that deal with tap effects. Would you say that there is enough commanders that have blue in their color identity to where you could almost argue Monimo School at Water's Edge is almost a staple?
Phenomena.
Like, you're almost going to put it in a deck like, okay, Command Tower, Menomino, Schools at Water's Edge, because there are so many that deal with tap, untap type of shenanigans.
I reject the notion that there are things such as staples.
Oh, respect. Interesting.
What about Command Tower? What? That goes in everything except for monocolor decks. That's the only thing it doesn't make sense in.
Reject the notion.
Reject the notion.
Damn.
Fair enough. Well, how about you accept the notion of your last yeast card?
My last yeast card, well, I was going to go with Manamo. So, what can I go? Well, I mean, Kozilek is pretty good.
Oh my gosh,
I have heard rumors that card is highly playable. And I'm guessing it's in here just because sometimes you need ways just to beat face. And when you get up to your 10 mana, you're like, yeah, this is probably going to do it.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to go with Kozilek. I mean, it feels good to cast Big Fat Eldrazi and draw cards while you're doing it.
Kozilowski.
And Annihilator 4 while you're at it.
Well, I mean, again, like you said earlier, the deck might have trouble with a go wide strategy, so.
Yeah, I love Butcher of Truth because of his last text. So, guys, if you're not familiar with it, whenever Kazi is, and yes, that is his nickname, we're on a first-name basis.
Actually, I was going to say,
whenever
very
Kazi
close.
is put into a graveyard from anywhere, the owner shuffles his or her graveyard into his or her library. So, early in my EDH building career, and also when this card was like $15, not
I was just going to say...
I used to, Sheldon, put this in almost all of my EDH decks.
Sure.
Because when I first started playing, I had so many things where people were like milling me and putting, destroying stuff, and I didn't really have graveyard recursion. And it was like, well, I guess I just put Kozilek in here because I'm beating face. I'm in the red zone deck. It's colorless. It draws cards. And worst case scenario, I mill it. Graveyard gets shuffled. I gain back value. I discard it. It gets back value. It gets killed. Gains back value. So it just filled so many slots. Now, granted, at $81, I don't think I'd put this in all my decks anymore, like if I was starting fresh, but this card is immensely powerful.
Oh my goodness, I need to just sell my whole damn collection.
I'm dead serious, man. It's a nightmare out there.
Yeah, you're looking at the price of your foil.
Yeah.
What's it up to?
Card Kingdom $249.99.
Jesus Christ.
Yep, I could probably sell out of Magic and pay for my wedding in cash and my honeymoon. But alas, I have an addiction.
I think you could pay for more than that.
Well, I think we're going to
Very
wrap up the yeast section with my last card. And I like it because this is it's a good card regardless. But I think with how Merieke operates with her untap, it actually makes this card immensely better. Mimic Vat.
Ugh.
So powerful.
So strong.
For 3 colorless, you get an artifact. It has imprint. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you may exile that card. If you do, return each other card exiled with Mimic Vat to its owner's graveyard. Then, for 3 colorless and a tap, create a token that's a copy of a card exiled with Mimic Vat. It gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. I really like this because you could steal the best thing that someone has, untap Merieke, it dies, exile it with Mimic Vat, you still got rid of it from your opponents, but now you're making copies for 3 mana. That is so good. Yeah, I mean, I wish, kind of looking through here, you have a bunch of untapped creature effects. I wish there was like an untapped artifact effect, because that'd be pretty neat to be able to create multiple copies of Avenger Zendikar or whatever you ended up killing. But I think Mimic Vat probably does a lot more in this deck than I've seen other decks.
Yeah, I loved it. I love this card, especially in a deck that has some board wipes in it. When things sort of get out of hand, you Wrath, and then you get a copy of the best thing that went to the graveyard.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good. Yeah, slam dunk in here. Especially with Merike's, unlike her counterpart that gives it back or whatever, it dies, get it out in the vat.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up the East. Now we're going to head over to Spice. And Sheldon, we're on to you. We only got 4 options. I tried my best to figure out what the spicy cards were. Why don't you tell us which one you want to talk about?
My spiciest card is Kaisis. That's Phth.
Ooh, right.
Mr. Magoo always pronounces it like
This card has murdered many people in the format's history.
So
respect.
I'm curious though. So I initially thought this was a Yeast card because of the fact that I also have seen this card murder people left and right because it is so good. In the games that you've played, is it a very situational card game to game? Like, have you had games where it's, man, there's only a 3/3, like that's the best thing out here, I guess I can make them lose 6? Or has it been consistent enough to where you'd say, you know what, this isn't just a funny card, it legitimately does something every single time and it's always impactful?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't do something every single time. But it's one of those cards that I like because when you do cast it, it's something, right? That it creates one of those memories. If somebody is playing their life gain deck and they have their Sarah avatar, and they're at 2,500 life, and you just dome them for twice that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those very splashy cards that I wouldn't, in any reasonable definition, call efficient, but it's definitely the kind of card that the format loves.
So the one that I'm going to talk about is Sun Titan, and I put it in here for Spice. So I calculated you got 21 or 23 cards in the deck that Sun Titan can target, not including basic or not including your just simple lands. So Sun Titan, 4 colorless, white, 6/6, vigilance, creature giant, mythic. Whenever ETBs are attacked, you may return target permanent, CMC 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. What's the RNG?
We got Kudro, fire.
A blazing sun that never sets. So the reason I put it in the spice category, and the reason I believe it's a spice, is I looked at a lot of the 3 CMC or less cards in the deck, and most of the ones that you're trying to quote unquote abuse or reuse are your like armillary sphere type of things. I didn't see a whole lot of, tap, sack the creature, counter the spell, persist, tap, or the non-creature. I didn't see anything like that. I didn't see some utility enchantments where, I'm going to sacrifice it to do this thing all that much. There's Aura Silence, but I think it's a fun card, and I think it's good enough to have in the deck because it is a 6/6 vigilance. It does give you a blocker and attacker, and like I said, you do have 20-ish non-land cards to target. So if you take out your lands, that is roughly 35% of your deck. I just didn't see a strategy to where it's, oh, Sun Titan is here because I'm like sacrificing this and I'm getting rid of these things and I need to get it back, and it kind of helps me do more Merieke shenanigans.
Yeah, it's more about a backup plan for getting critical things blown up. The Mimic Vat, the Illusionist Bracers, the 1,000-Year Elixir, or one of the other cards that I think folks have passed by on this, and I hope I'm not jumping on ahead of anybody here, is Tainted Sigil.
Right, yeah. That card's really good.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Tainted Sigil. I love it in my Selenia the Dark Angel deck because it's absolutely perfection in that. This deck, it's actually one of the ones I'm talking about in the bottle capping. Just because I didn't see a ton of symmetrical, making a lot of my opponents lose life, things like that. But I could see, like, you know, if you've had game experiences where, oh, I've been able to swing in, deal a bunch of damage, Tainted Sigil, and then next turn, you know, Sun Titan gets it back and I can do it again, how that can kind of add up. But yeah, no, Sun Titan, I think it's a fun card, good enough for the deck. It's one of those cards that Tuck and I have talked about through Brews and Build, Sheldon, kind of like Rampaging Baloths. We feel like it's maybe just been a little outclassed through time for what it does, but it's nice to see that it still has a home.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Tuck. You only got a couple other options.
It'll be short and sweet. Enigma Sphinx, I think, is a super fun card in this deck. So 4 colorless, Esper as well. Seeing a trend here. That is white, blue, black. For an artifact creature, Sphinx, it's a 5/4 with flying. When it's put into your graveyard from the battlefield, put it into your library third from the top, and then it has Cascade, which I don't remember what the new rulings are, but pretty much when you cast a spell, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost, put the exiled card on the bottom of your library in random order. So the cool thing I like about this is most of the big cards in here that do stuff, your Massacre Worms of the world, your big Elder Dragons, that sort of things, all fall under 7 CMC. So this is another card that I think also might be able to kind of fit into the Hops profile, where it's a beater on itself, it comes in with its own recursion, and then it will likely cascade you into a spell that's really going to catapult you forward.
Yeah, it's all right. It's what I would call Tuck, you introduced Battle Cruiser EDH. It's like back in the day with big splashy spells that kind of do splashiest things. But maybe it's, you know, not the most amazing thing in today's environment, but hey, it seems cool. Never seen it. Cascade is just one of those effects. I have love-hate with it. Yep. I had my Maelstrom Wanderer deck, or Wielder deck, and Cascade sometimes just burns you. Sometimes you just hit garbage poo.
Yeah, exactly. You hit the mana rock that you don't need, or, you know, a land or something.
Sheldon, have you ever done the Enigma Sphinx and cascaded into just something you were like, I do not want this?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the mana rock is generally the most common, but you tend to put cards in your deck that are good.
Yeah.
And like you were pointing out, except for Kozilek, Enigma Sphinx gets everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gets all the big guys. So like to see it in the deck. I appreciate it in the Esper colors, and just overall a fun option for the spice package.
Yeah, again, it's definitely an artifact from the deck's origins.
You know, and it's always nice to still have the origin of a deck. Like my very first EDH deck I ever built was on our second episode ever. It was Karametra with an Elf Angel sub-theme. And I still have Angels in that deck that have been clearly outclassed by other cards. But it's like, I want to keep to this Angel thing, and I want to kind of keep it at its roots. So... all right, well, that's going to wrap up the spice package. Now we're going to have it to the bottle capping, and as a reminder, it's going to be Big Tuck's, Sheldon's, and I's cuts and adds to the deck that will be under 5, under 50, and a no-budget recommendation. We just can't do mana-only lands. So I'll start this process off. with the card that I want to love. I just don't. I think it
just don't love you back.
Not good. Yeah, Profane Procession. Gonna cut it. Okay. So if you guys aren't familiar, this is a modal enchantment that also transforms into a land. To cast it, it's a colorless Orzhov, white-black, legendary enchantment. It's a rare. For 3 colorless Orzhov, exile target creature. Then if 3 or more cards exiled with Profane Procession, transform it. And what is my voice?
Lavish. Sorry, Sean, just for timing's sake, do you just want to read the flavor text for this last bit?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
So, Vona sought Conqueror, Marvin sought Savior, both found what they sought. And then it transforms into Tomb of the Duskrose, legendary land, taps to add a mana of any color to your mana pool, and then 2 colorless Orzhov, put a creature card exiled with this permanent onto the battlefield under your control, resting in the splendor of the dead. So, I don't know. I've tried to play this in a few of my decks, and essentially 18 mana to get it flipped just seems a little expensive to me. And I think, just there could be better options. And I do believe with this deck, Sheldon, you have a ton of interaction already for the opponents. I think maybe cutting this, what I would call overcosted effect, probably isn't going to be that missed. The card I think you should add, though, I think is very, very cool, very exciting, and it's extremely cheap. So we are talking about Retreat to Coralheim. And this is an enchantment. It is 2 colorless blue enchantment. It has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, choose one. You may tap or untap target creature, or scry one.
Ooh.
And it's 79 cents.
Yeah.
So I look at this card because Sheldon, you even made a point earlier. Your goal is just to hit a land drop every turn. You're not trying to necessarily throw 5 or 6 at a time down. So being able to then untap your Merieke as you need to. But the nice thing, and I'm always about having options, if your commander's not there and you need to play a land, it would really suck if the only thing was you may tap or untap target creature. Like, cool, I'll tap my opponent's Birds of Paradise. What does that do me? But the Scry one, that can help you get you and kind of filter off the top. So I think doing these swaps, even though technically you do lose a land, quote unquote, I think you'll gain more out of it.
I'll write it down.
Right. Put it in the deck.
Look at that. Putting it in. All right. Tuck, what are you going to cut and what are you going to add?
So I am actually going to cut a card. It's a draw card called Dragon Lord's Prerogative. So it's 4 colorless blue for an instant. It's a rare. As additional cost to Dragon Lord's Prerogative, you may reveal a dragon card from your hand. If you revealed a dragon card or control the dragons you cast it, it can't be countered and draw 4 cards. So it's a decent rate, but I don't think it's really that exciting. It is cool that's an instance. I think if you had a little bit more of the dragon sub theme as opposed to just like the bigger elder ones, this might be a little cuter so it doesn't get countered. I feel on EDH it's probably not going to get countered anyways. So instead of adding in another dragon, I'm going to add something that might be considered a wet dragon in Nezahal Primal Tide. 5 colorless and blue for a legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. It cannot also be countered. You have no maximum hand size. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card and then discard 3 cards. Exile Nezahal Primal Tide. Return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So in my opinion, this card kind of can be both a grain, hops, and a yeast card in the sense that you're paying 7 for a 7/7 creature. It can't be countered. It has evasion in some regard, and it also can draw you cards. So to me, paying 1 more mana for something that could also potentially close out the game for you seems to really fit in and would help you kind of have a bigger presence in mid to late game.
Fair.
Is that one, because, that's a card that I've struggled with. I can see where you're going with it, Tuck. But it's one that I've added to decks and cut from decks because it seems real expensive, and I do like that can't be countered. I do like whenever they cast non-creature spells, draw a card, basically like a Mystic Remora or a Rhystic Study type of effect. The discard 3 cards, though, to exile it and return it, I've never used that, and that's usually why I end up cutting the card. So I'm curious, either Tuck or Sheldon, have either of you guys ever ran Nezahal and I'm completely off base and like, oh no, you're drawing tons of cards, the discard 3's not a big deal?
I haven't, but I've seen single Aaron play this as his commander in a mono blue deck, and it was unstoppable. It was as soon as he cast it, he was like unbeatable. It was wild.
Yeah, I haven't ever played it.
Interesting. All right. Well, Sheldon, I know it's always hard for people to do, but if you had to, what card would you cut from the deck, and what card would you add for maybe under $5?
I would cut Armillary Seer.
Easy enough.
Seems fair.
And I would add Azorius Signet.
I'm curious because you've piqued me now. Why add an Azorius Signet when you don't have Arcane Signet or Soul Ring? Just curious. Is that personal preference? Like you like to stay away from those faster mana rocks, or is there maybe a different thought?
Well, to be fair, Arcane Signet was the second one I was going to put in.
Damn it! Foiled again.
I love it.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to the under $50, guys. And once again, kick this off. Sheldon, it's a cute card. Very cute. And I'm sure at one point while you're playing this deck, this thing helps save your life. But I think I'm going to have to cut Time Stop. Seems real expensive. So 4 colorless blue instant in the turn. That's all it does. So I will give you a platform. Why is Time Stop here, and why is it a powerful card for the deck?
It will save your bacon.
I can respect it, man. I can definitely respect it.
I guess.
The number of times that it's been a giant fog, like someone tooth and nails for Crater Hoof and Avenger of Zendikar, and you put the trigger on the stack, the Avenger of Zendikar trigger on the stack. You know that they're going to try to kill everybody, right?
Yep.
Well,
right.
You Time Stop with the trigger on the stack. And not only do they not get to kill people, they don't even get the plant tokens.
That's fair.
Suck it.
Well, what I wanted to do is I wanted to add more to your deck of using your opponent's stuff, because your deck is honestly just a Esper version of my mono blue deck, and I think adding Empress Galena to your 99 would be a great backup commander.
This was on my list for sure.
3 colorless blue creature legend. It's a 1/3 for 2 blue. Tap, gain control of target legend or legendary permanent. Above the waves, you may be mighty indeed, but down here, you belong to me. Or like Big Tuck always likes to say, with my playtest card I had made, mermaid titties.
Yeah,
so
facts.
I love this card. I think, yes, it's not as good as Merieke because she can get any creature. Empress Galena can only get legends. But this is also legendary permanents. So I believe Paradox Engine. No.
That's
Panharmonicon? Yeah, is it Panharmonicon that's the legend? Or Aetherflux, one of the two?
Aetherflux for sure is.
Okay, Aetherflux, because you can go get your Aetherflux Reservoir. You can go steal Sword of the Animus, which always boggles me and Tuck that it's a legendary thing. So I think it allows you to do a lot, but then you don't get the negative drawback that Merieke does, where you have to destroy the creature. You just get to keep it. And you already have all of the creature untapped things that you would want to have in these colors for the most part. So it's just like, why wouldn't you do that? So it is coming in about $20, a lot more expensive. But one thing that I also always try to do is lower the CMC a little bit. So now we're going from a 6 to a 5.
Fair. By the way, Aetherflux Reservoir is not legendary.
Really?
No.
I thought one of them
neither
ridiculous.
is Panharmonicon.
Unreal.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, there was some other. I know Sword of the Animist is. I thought there was one of those that was legendary. Maybe I'm just thinking of Paradox Engine, and it's because Sheldon's here and he just crushed my dreams and maybe dismantled decks once it got banned. But I won't go on that rant again.
It's just a bunch of basic cards walking around having a normal day.
Tuck, why don't you talk about the next card you're going to cut? What are you going to add for under $50?
So I think this is another one that came off of your cracking the Tarkira block. So Hidden Dragon Slayer fits the theme of the sub theme of it, but I think we can do something a little more exciting. So Hidden Dragon Slayer is a colorless and a white for a 2/1 creature human warrior with lifelink and megamorph, 2 colorless and a white. That means that you can morph it down as a 2/2 for 3. And then turn it face up at any time for its cost and put a 1/1 counter on it. Then when it's turned face up, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater and opponent controls. I get the theme of it. I have had a horrible experience with these Megamorph cards. So for me, they have always kind of been lackluster. And I think we can find something that's a little bit more exciting for the deck personally.
I think that Big Game Hunter would be a great thing for this spot, especially with Sun Titan. But that's a combo that I've run in other decks, and I just wanted something different.
Sure, no, yeah. I hear you. So I also agree, as we talked about earlier, that the graveyard is potentially an area that might have a little bit more juice in there as well, especially as you're untapping Merieke and sacrificing things. So for me, Coffin Queen, I think, would be a really interesting kind of backup commander as well. So 2 colorless and a black for a creature zombie wizard that's from Tempest. You may choose...
Wizard Harry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zombie Wizard Harry. You may choose not to untap Coffin Queen during your untap step. 2 colorless and a black and tap it. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. When it becomes untapped or you lose control of Coffin Queen, exile that creature. So
that's cool.
For me, seems like another sort of variant of running board wipes, running creatures. Merieke has been killed too many times. Now you can cast this gal out late game. And I like the fact that it also exiles creatures when she becomes untapped, getting rid of like super problematic indestructible permanents and the like. And also I think a key thing here is that hers is a May ability. So you may choose not to untap her, which gives her a little bit more wheels in terms of your controlling of different creatures and the like of it.
Coffin Queen was in the deck way back when.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like it because it kind of, to your point, Tuck, I think it actually kind of serves as almost a backup to Mimic Vat, if you think about it. To where, I was kind of talking about like, Merieke could steal something, untap, let the thing die, Mimic Vat exiles and copies it. Coffin Queen can kind of do the same thing. So it's like almost Sheldon can have like this engine of Merieke is going to steal a thing, let it die. I'm going to let this thing copy it. I'm going to use this creature to like take this thing from the graveyard and control it. And then I'm going to use Empress Galena to like steal a thing. It really becomes a true 75% deck where if he's playing against people without a whole lot of creatures, well, the 25% of dragons and kind of swinging and hitting people in the air is going to have to do it. But if anyone else is playing anything, as Sheldon has mentioned multiple times, people play creatures in EDH. He's going to have tons of options to steal. And what feels better than playing with someone's own $100 Kozilek or $250 Kozilek instead of playing with your own? I want to play with yours. That's what I want.
Exactly. And Coffin Queen will get that for you.
All right. Well, Sheldon, what would you cut next, and what would you add? I assume it's the Arcane Signet in its place.
I would cut the Obelisk of Esper and put in the Arcane Signet.
Yep. Very easy cut.
Yep.
I love the efficiency here. It's wonderful.
So now, Devils. So I know that is a 1 mana reduction. So I get that's kind of like the thought behind it. But wouldn't potentially like some of these other 3 mana rocks be worth considering? Especially the one I can't remember. It's from Commander Legends. You can kick it and it gets those additional copies that are indestructible. Wouldn't that almost be a good fit? As long as you weren't trying to reduce the CMC. Because that's something I've started to look at because, I run the Darksteel Ingot in a few different decks. I run the other 3 mana, any color, but then you get to take a Vessel of Endless Rest. I run that in a few decks. And I've really started to contemplate, why don't I just put this 3-mana one in that's indestructible? And if I don't kick it, it's the same as these other things. I just don't get the little effect. But then if it's late game, I don't feel bad. It's like, oh, I'll play it for 6 or 9, get multiple copies of it, and actually be able to maybe do something even better.
Yeah, the thing that would be good about Darksteel Ingot is that it can create any color of mana. And if I steal something that has an activation that's not in extra color,
sure.
then I can generate it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Tech.
All right. We're on to personal recommendations, guy. We're in the home stretch. I'm going to cut the Tainted Sigil. Really, just the biggest reason is I don't see enough type of extort-like effects draining. I know. But I have a cool card, and yes, you know of it. A lot of people know it. I assume you didn't put it in here for a conscious reason, but Pimen's Aura, I think, would be a better fit than the Tainted Sigil.
Saw this coming a mile away, Mr. Combo.
Yeah, of course you did. Pimen's Aura, colorless blue, enchant creature. It's an enchantment. $13.99, right around that $11-14. It has 4 activated abilities. The only ones that I think Sheldon would ever use is the first one, blue, untap enchanted creature, and then the third one, enchanted creature can't be the target of spells or abilities this turn. It does have another one for, once again, blue, enchanted creature gains flying until end of turn. And then for a colorless, you can actually give the enchanted creature +1/-1 or -1/+1 till end of turn. I think this, once again, I want to feed this deck with as many opportunities to take your opponent's stuff as possible. And, with the Coffin Queen, with the Empress Galena, with the Merieke, and any of these other where it's tap effects, and then there's maybe a negative connotation for your opponents, Pimen's Aura gives you that fluidity to kind of go back and forth on where do I want this. And then even with the Sun Titan, okay, it was on, I don't know, Merieke. I drew Empress Galena in hand. There is a Gaia's Cradle on the battlefield. I need to take that. Let's figure out a way to kill Merieke. Sun Titan will get Pimen's Aura back, throw it on the Empress Galena. Now I have ways to be able to use her and steal a couple things that I may need to steal.
Fair assessment.
So I assume you probably didn't put this in the deck for a reason?
It was just, again, it was a card that saw a lot of play way back in the day. And it's just,
okay.
They've been there, done that, let's do something different.
Something a little different, sure.
Yeah.
But hey, now look at it. It's only in 2% of all decks that run blue. Now you're on the fringe. Yeah. You're like edgy now. All right, Tuck, round us out. What is your personal recommendation? Cut and add.
Sure. Well, I am also going to cut. I'm also going to cut Time Stop for the same reason. I used to like this card a lot, and it just was a dead card for me a lot. So I get it how it's like a mega fog, but I have my own personal baggage as to why. But I think I found one that might be a little spicier than that guy. So I think Venser the Sojourner would be a real interesting inclusion in this. So 3 colorless, white and a blue for legendary Planeswalker Venser. Comes in with 3 loyalty counters on it, and is about $20. Although you can get the dual deck version that's oily for $14. So 3 solid abilities, +2, exile target permanent you own. Return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So for me, sometimes when you're stealing something with Merieke, you don't want to be tied explicitly to that creature. So this is a way that you can bounce them, untap Merieke, take something else, and then retain control of the original creature that you stole. -1 creatures can't be blocked this turn, even though you're running a lot of creatures that have flying. Always good to give them another form of evasion, especially when it's this cheap. And then finally, -8, if you can ever get there, which you might be able to in this kind of control-y deck, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, exile target permanent. So for me, for 5 mana, you get a way to continue the cycle, a way to win, and then a way to lock down the game if you get to it. So seems like he's doing a lot for just 5 CMC.
I have Venser the Sojourner in 2 other decks.
Nice. It's a great one.
Yeah, and I really like it with that +2 effect, Tuck. Like you said, being able to blink out those other creatures and still retain control of them. There's another card that does that that's eluding me. Conjurer's Closet.
Yeah, Conjurer's Closet,
same thing. Yeah, and that's just, it's such a powerful thing, because you would, like we've talked about, the drawback with Coffin Queen and Merieke. Once they become untapped or they leave play, the thing gets exiled or you lose control, it gets destroyed, whatever the case is. It's like, well, I'm going to blink that thing and I'm still going to untap my stuff and I'm just going to keep your things.
Exactly.
And then it's like you've almost have this like ultra, like my Empress Galena deck, where literally you're taking anything and everything you want, which is very, very fun.
Yeah, Blinky,
not fun for your opponents.
Blinky the Eldrazi might be something that does the same thing.
Right. Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Eldrazi
the Displacer.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Sheldon, round out this episode. Take us home. What is the last card you're going to cut? And what's the thing that if Wizards gave you $1 million that you'd put in?
I'm going to take out Aether Gale. It has just underperformed. It seems right. For 5 mana or bouncing 6 non-land permanents. But in practice, it just never has really... I mean, there's been a couple of times when it's been a game winner. But for the most part, it's just been kind of meh in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think probably if it was an instant, even an instant for 6, I think you would probably feel different about it, but maybe it's the sorcery speed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could replace it with Cyclonic Rift that I'm not playing in this deck, but I'm playing in like 95,000 other ones.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not a coward, so
I don't want to do that. But it's not really that expensive. Let me look and see how expensive it actually is. I mean, it's not like I need to add to the price of this deck in the first place. $24. I'm going to put Hullbreacher here.
Oh,
you monster!
Well, I'm not. I think Hullbreacher is the kind of card that is very good for the format. Except,
wow.
Yeah, no. I believe that slowing down people from doing really gross things is good for the format. The problem with Hullbreacher, of course, is that wheels just just basically end the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if I could get rid of, if I could blank every wheel out of existence, I wouldn't be sad. But I think in a deck where you're not doing a bunch of wheeling, I think Hullbreacher is an eminently fair card.
Okay.
Do you feel the same way about Opposition Agent?
I do.
Oh.
You know what, Sheldon? I was on the fence earlier. I was like, man, he's talking crap on my cards, and but now because I'm along the same lines. I think Hullbreacher and Opposition Agent are both very fair cards when played the right way, because all it does is slow down or stop the other overpowered decks or effects.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you're playing Consecrated Sphinx, you deserve to get Hullbreacher.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? And that comes from somebody who loves Consecrated Sphinx, but I think you accept the risk. And I think the tension in the format is more delicious when it's potentially bad for you to do broken things.
Yeah, I also like the term delicious. Well put there. That was nice.
Well, guys, as we're going to Hull Breach this episode, thanks for making it until the end. And as promised, here's some details about the giveaway from our sponsor, Level 1 Game Shop. For Death and Taxes Month, we are dishing out W-9s to all of you. You now owe the government more money. Just kidding. We're doing a Strixhaven bundle plus a CMD Tower playmat and sleeves. And to enter, it's very simple. Just promote the content we produce. You get an entry for every interaction that happens on social media and being part of our patron community. We will announce the winner on MTG Action 4 News on May the 4th be with you, and social media soon after. And yes, these giveaways will happen every month. Just support Level 1 so that way they can support you. But we would love a 5-star review on whatever consumption platform you're watching or listening on, whether that's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. We would love some nice comments on things that we can improve on, things that you liked. And if you'd like to reach out to us and find more ways to enter into the contest, here's how you can do that. You can reach me at Mr. Commodore 5 on Twitter, all spelled out except for the 5. Big Tuck, where can they reach you?
Still lurking, still archived on my phone at Big Tuck tweeting.
And you can reach our main account at CMD Tower on Twitter as well. We also will have Sheldon's deck list posted to the website, cmdtower.com/BNBE88. Basically, just type in copy Enchantment, Mycosynth Wellspring, Dragon Lord's Prerogative, Tower.com. Sheldon, shameless plug. Where can people find you? Where can they find content that you create or collaborate on out in the community?
You can find me on the Commander RC Twitch stream every Thursday at 8 p.m. and every Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock Eastern. That's so we can be Euro-friendly for our chat fans over in Europe. You can find me in the Commander RC Discord nearly every day of the week. If you go to the official website, that's mtgcommander.net, there's a link to join. It's free. The other RC members and I are frequently in there, and sometimes I'll do like an hour-long come chat with me and, unload on me all your problems kind of thing. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook by my name, and of course you can find me every Sunday on StarCityGames.com writing about the best format in the history of Magic.
Nice.
Squee McGee, if people want to get a hold of yourself, how would they do that?
Oh, you know where to get me. It's Dear Squee at cmdtower.com. It's a wonderful format, everybody. As Sheldon mentioned, there is a particularly great format in Magic the Gathering. There's also a particularly great format in digital communication called email. Go ahead and get at me there. I'll get back to you.
Email's dead.
How many emails did you get today at work?
Hey, that's not fair.
That's not fair.
He can do everything you need from an audio perspective. He does have a full studio. If you ever do come to the KC metro area, masks or vaccine required, trimmed toe hairs optional. Let it out, hobbits. Let it out.
I was gonna say, that's a tall order.
If you would, though, like to help out our sponsor with the orders you're already doing, just head over to level1gameshop.com. When you place an order in the order notes, just type out CMD Tower so that they know that you came from The Collective. And of course, they do have a TCG store as well, so if that's your preferred buying vehicle. But they are the ones that do the monthly giveaways, guys, so definitely go support them so that way they continue to support you and the community. If you would actually like to contribute financially to the cast, so that way we can improve equipment, improve the giveaways, get more swag to give away to you guys, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/CMDTower. 4 different tiers from just $1 a month all the way up to $25. And even when you join the community, you get additional entries into the monthly giveaways. You get to join the Discord, where we have a lot of our content creators that we've had on the channel actually in there as well. So you can always ask them a question or two after we've come out with an episode. And as well as we have the referral program. So any of your friends or LGS gaming partners that you get to join the collective, we'll send you some free swag. Could be a signed card, could be some sleeves. All of it is posted in the Discord. Of course, if you can't do a monthly contribution, but you still want to get that cool playmat you maybe saw on Mr. Bever's Twitch stream or MTG Lexicon, head over to cmdtower.com/merch. We do sell everything we have on there. Once again, please buy it, because if you don't, I will one day be homeless and you will see me with a CMD Tower playmat blanket, homeless on the streets, selling card sleeves for McDonald's.
In the box that all the playmats came in.
Correct. And of course, thank you again to Pink Royal for the music provided at the beginning and the end of the episode. And T-Coats, Tyler, hit him up at T-Coats on Twitter. He's our video editor, does a great job. Definitely go show him some love. And of course, if you need him to help out with a project, he's there. Go work with him, collaborate. So, Sheldon, we have done now part 2 of the Sheldon Menery Presents series with Merieke, the repo specialist. How do you feel this conversation went? Did you get maybe some fresh ideas? Does maybe talking about the deck with how many you have make you excited to play her in the near future?
Yeah, a couple of those ideas, like maybe reintroducing Coffin Queen, the Coral Helm thing. Those are solid, and I might just be playing in that on the stream sometime soon.
Nice. Can't wait to see it.
Tuck, how do you feel?
It was fun. This is a fun deck. You know, it was good to see some of these older cards still make rounds. And obviously, Sheldon, it's always been a pleasure speaking with you, man. So thanks again for taking the time.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was absolutely fun. No, it's a little bit longer of an episode, but guys, you know, whenever we have a guest on, it usually goes a little bit longer because there's a lot more dialogue. Because let's be honest, when it's just me and Tuck, we barely are functioning friends. We prefer not to talk to each other and do it as little as possible.
Highly illiterate. Both of us are functionally illiterate, so that doesn't help either.
But no, this deck was very exciting. And of course, Sheldon, thank you for the partnership. And of course, thank you for helping keep a format alive that has sucked away most of my bank account, but has contributed to thousands of hours of fun that I wouldn't take back for a second. So, of course, guys, we'll leave you with this last thing. #unban Paradox Engine. Bye!